Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Learn with Nisha ji. We are studying class 9 science and here we are on the chapter 12, that is improvement in food resources. If you have not subscribed the channel yet, you can subscribe the channel, and if you want to enroll for online one-to-one classes, you can fill up the form whose link I will share in the description section, right? सो वॉच दिस वीडियो कम्प्लीटली. इसमें हम ये चैप्टर कंप्लीट करेंगे, सारे कंसेप्ट्स, एक्सरसाइज क्वेश्चंस, ऑल द इन टेक्स्ट क्वेश्चंस, एवरीथिंग वी आर गोइंग टू कवर इन दिस वीडियो. अगर आप इस वीडियो को अच्छे से देखते हो तो आपका ये चैप्टर कंप्लीटली प्रिपेयर हो जाएगा एंड यू कैन स्कोर 100% मार्क्स इन दिस, राइट? Okay, so let's begin with the introduction. See, we all know that all living organisms need food. Food तो सभी को चाहिए, right? Food क्या क्या आपको supply करता है? It supplies proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, everything. All of which we require for body development, growth, and health. Okay. So plant and animals, these are the major sources of food for all of us. Okay, जैसे suppose आप spinach खा रहे हो, so it is from a plant source. Okay, and if you are having, let's say, meat, then it's the animal source. Okay, so how we obtain this food? It's mainly through agriculture and animal husbandry. Okay, so if you go through the newspapers, okay, आप देखते हो कि there are efforts being made to improve the production from agriculture and animal husbandry. Why is it necessary? मतलब हमें production क्यों increase करनी है? Can you think of it? Why we cannot make do with the current levels of production? जैसे अगर अभी suppose जो level है production का, उसके साथ हमारा काम क्यों नहीं चल पा रहा? So that is because of population factor. ठीक है? India is a very populous country. Population is more than 1 billion people and still it's growing. Okay, and food, we need food for the growing population. Okay, अगर हम same pattern से ही move करते रहें तो we will soon need more than a quarter of a billion tons of grain every year. Okay, so this can be done by farming on more land. Okay, हम क्या कर सकते हैं? अगर अभी इतने हेक्टेयर लैंड पे हम ग्रो कर रहे हैं क्रॉप्स को, तो उसको बढ़ा दें. बट इंडिया इज ऑलरेडी इंटेंसिवली कल्टिवेटेड. ठीक है, तो ऐसा कोई स्कोप ज्यादा है नहीं एरिया ऑफ लैंड अंडर कल्टीवेशन इंक्रीज करने का, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी बहुत सारा विलेजेस में एरिया ऑलरेडी हम एग्रीकल्चर को दे चुके हैं. ओके, सो इट इज नेसेसरी टू इंक्रीज आवर प्रोडक्शन एफिशिएंसी फॉर बोथ क्रॉप्स एंड लाइव स्टॉक. तो हमें एग्जिस्टिंग एरिया पे ही अपनी एफिशिएंसी या प्रोडक्शन उसको इंक्रीज करना पड़ेगा, राइट? So efforts to meet the food demand by increasing food production have led to some successes so far. कुछ मतलब efforts किए हैं और वो successful भी हुए हैं. जैसे एक ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था, ठीक है, उसमें काफी हमारी फूड ग्रेन प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज हुई थी. ठीक है, वाइट रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था जिसकी वजह से हमें वी आर हैविंग अ बेटर एंड मोर एफिशिएंट यूज एज वेल एज अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ मिल्क. ठीक है, so these are certain revolutions which took place. However, these revolutions mean that our natural resources are getting used more intensively. Okay. So as a result, there are more chances of causing damage to our natural resources to the point of destroying their balance completely. तो हमें एनवायरनमेंट को भी साथ लेकर चलना है, दैट इज ऑल्सो अ फैक्टर. ठीक है, तो इट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट कि वी शुड इंक्रीज द फूड प्रोडक्शन विदाउट डिग्रेडिंग एनवायरनमेंट एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग द बैलेंसेस, मेंटेनिंग इट. तो दोनों ही चीजों का ध्यान रखना है, प्रोडक्शन भी इंक्रीज करनी है लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म कर दें हम, नहीं, दोनों का बैलेंस लेके चलना है. ठीक है, सो देयर इज अ नीड फॉर सस्टेनेबल प्रैक्टिसेस इन एग्रीकल्चर एंड एनिमल हस्बेंड्री. ठीक है, अब हम देखेंगे ये क्या होंगी सस्टेनेबल प्रैक्टिसेस. नाउ simply increasing grain production for storage in warehouses cannot solve the problem of malnutrition and hunger. आपने grain production तो बहुत सारी कर ली और उसे स्टोर करा दिया warehouses में, बट जिसको चाहिए, जिसको जरूरत है उस grains की, that is, it is not reaching them. So that is also of no use. Okay, so people should have money to purchase the food. So food security will depend both on availability of food and access to it. दोनों चीजें हमें देखनी है. Now, majority of our population, it also depends on agriculture for the livelihood. Farmers बहुत ज़्यादा हैं इंडिया में. Okay, So increasing the income of people who are working in agriculture is necessary to combat the problem of hunger. ठीक है? Now, scientific management practices हमें use करनी होंगी to obtain high yields from farms. Okay? Now, for sustained livelihood, one should undertake mixed farming. Mixed farming कर सकते हैं, intercropping कर सकते हैं, integrated farming practices we can have, like combining agriculture with livestock, poultry, fisheries, and beekeeping. ठीक है? So the main question which arises is like, how do we increase the yield of crops and livestock? So first topic comes up, improvement in crop yields. So cereals like wheat, rice, maize, millets and sorghum, they provide us carbohydrate for energy requirement. ठीक है? Pulses जो हैं जैसे ग्राम, चना, पी, मटर, ब्लैक ग्राम, उड़द, ग्रीन ग्राम, मूंग, okay, pigeon pea, अरहर, lentil, masoor, they provide us with protein. ठीक है? Oil seeds like soya bean, groundnut, sesame, then castor, mustard, linseed, and sunflower, they provide us with necessary fats. ठीक है? Vegetables, spices, fruits, they provide us a range of vitamins and minerals in addition to small amounts of protein, carbohydrate, and fats. ठीक है? इसके अलावा fodder crops like berseem, oats, or Sudan grass, they are raised as food for the livestock. Okay, livestock can have it as a food. So these are all the things through which we get some energy, right? So we can see different types of crops. Here picture is shown. You can see all of them. Okay. Question arises like, what do we get from cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables? अभी हमने discuss किया, आप उसे point wise लिख सकते हो. Very important question. Next comes, different crops require different climatic conditions, temperature and photoperiods for their growth and completion of their life cycle. तो ये तो obvious है कि अगर आपको wheat grow करनी है या फिर rice grow करना है, दोनों की totally different requirements होती हैं. Climatic conditions की, temperature की, right? How much time sun exposure should be there, everything. So photoperiods, they are related to the duration of sunlight, okay? Growth of plants and flowering are dependent on sunlight. So as we all know, plants manufacture their food in sunlight by the process of photosynthesis. ये आप already पढ़ चुके हो. So there are some crops which are grown in rainy season. ठीक है? उन्हें कहते हैं हम खरीफ season. ठीक है? From the month of June to October. ठीक है? And some crops are grown in the winter season called the Rabi season, that is from November to April. ठीक है? Paddy, soya bean, pigeon pea, maize, cotton, green gram and black gram. These are all kharif crops. ठीक है? Whereas wheat, gram, peas, mustard, linseed, these are rabi crops. ये क्वेश्चन बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. खारिफ और राबी क्रॉप्स के बीच में डिफरेंशिएट करने के लिए आता है. सो यू शुड लर्न दिस. Next is, in India, there has been a 4 times increase in the production of food grains from 1952 to 2010 with only 25% increase in cultivable land area. तो land area का हमने कम increase या expansion किया है, but production काफी बढ़ी है. तो how is this achieved? So if we think of the practices involved in farming, we can see that they can be divided in 3 stages. Okay. First is the choice of seeds for planting. Second is nurturing the crop plants. Third is protection of the growing and harvested crops from loss. Right? So major groups of activities for improving crop yields can be, first is crop variety improvement. Second is crop production improvement. Third is crop protection management. Right? 3 stages में हम इसको कर सकते हैं. So first we are going to discuss about crop variety improvement. ठीक है? This approach depends on finding a crop variety that can give a good yield. ठीक है? Varieties or strains of crops can be selected by breeding for various useful characteristics like disease resistance, response to fertilizers, product quality, high yields. Okay? Now, one way of incorporating desirable characteristics into crop varieties is by hybridization. Very important. Hybridization क्या होता है? It refers to crossing between genetically dissimilar plants. So this crossing can be intervarietal between different varieties. interspecific between two different species of same genus, or intergeneric between different genera. So another way of improving the crop is by introducing a gene that would produce the desired characteristic. So this results in genetically modified crops. Okay, तो यहाँ पे हमारी दो terms बहुत important है. First one is the hybridization and second one is genetically modified crops. ठीक है? Now, for new varieties of crops to be accepted, it is necessary that the variety produces high yields, okay, under different conditions that are found in different areas. So, farmers will need to be provided with good quality seeds of a particular variety. So, ये first stage के लिए बहुत important है. That is, the seeds should all be of the same variety and germinate under the same conditions, right? Next is cultivation practices and crop yield. They are related to weather, soil quality, and availability of water. Since weather conditions like drought and flood situations are unpredictable, so varieties that can be grown in diverse climatic conditions are useful. जैसे suppose आपके पास एक seeds है जो कि excess water के time ही good production देती है, ठीक है, लेकिन किसी वजह से अगर उस एरिया में ड्रॉट हो गया, मीन्स वाटर इज नॉट अवेलेबल इन एम्पल क्वांटिटीज, तब भी वो अच्छी प्रोडक्शन दे, ऐसा अगर सीड हो तो इट विल बी बेनिफिशियल फॉर अस. ओके, इसी तरह वेराइटीज टॉलरेंट टू हाई सॉइल सलाइनिटी हैव बीन डेवलप्ड. ठीक है, सॉइल बहुत ज्यादा सलाइन हो गई फिर भी वो अच्छी प्रोडक्शन दे, दैट इज द थिंग. Now, some of the factors for which variety improvement is done are: first is higher yield. We want to increase the productivity of crop per acre. Okay, कि एक एकड़ land ने कितना crop production दिया. Improved quality. So quality considerations of crop products, they vary from crop to crop, and baking quality is important in wheat, protein quality is important in pulses, oil quality is important in oil seeds. ठीक है, and preserving qualities in fruits and vegetables. ऐसा ना हो fruits and vegetables बहुत जल्दी खराब हो रहे हैं. Okay, that should not be the case. Next is biotic and abiotic resistance. So crop production can go down due to biotic. Biotic में क्या क्या आता है? Diseases, insects, nematodes, ठीक है, and abiotic factors जैसे drought, salinity, waterlogging, heat, cold, frost, ठीक है, under different situations. अगर ये सब हुए इसको resist करना चाहिए इसे. So varieties which are resistant to these stresses, they can improve the crop production. Okay. इससे related देखो question भी है, how do biotic and abiotic factors affect crop production? So you can mention this thing, right? Next is changes in maturity duration. So shorter duration of the crop from sowing to harvesting, so more is its economical. Okay. So short durations allow farmers to grow multiple rounds of crops in a year, and it also reduces the cost of crop production. ठीक है, uniform maturity will make the harvesting process easy and it will reduce the losses during harvesting, right? Next is wider adaptability. So if we develop varieties for wider adaptability, so it will help in stabilizing the crop production under different environmental conditions. Okay. So one variety can be grown under different climatic conditions in different areas. Last is desirable agronomic characters. So tallness or profuse branching are desirable characteristics for fodder crops. So dwarfness is desired in cereals, okay, so that less nutrients are consumed by these crops. So developing varieties of desired agronomic characters, it helps give higher productivity, right? So second question is, what are the desirable agronomic characters for crop improvements? You can mention through this paragraph, correct? Second comes the crop production management. Okay. So in India, as in many other agriculture based countries, farming ranges from small to very large farms. Okay, depend करता है. Different farmers thus have more or less land, money, access to information technologies, so it varies. So it is the money or financial conditions which allows the farmers to take up different farming practices and agricultural technologies. So there is a correlation between higher inputs and yields, right? So farmers purchasing capacity for inputs, it will decide the cropping system, production practices. Okay. So production practices can be at different levels. They include no cost production, low cost production also, and high cost production practices also, right? Next we come on to nutrient management. So as we need food for development, growth and well-being, plants also need nutrients for growth, okay? So nutrients are supplied to plants by air, water, soil, okay? There are several nutrients which are essential for plants. Like air will give carbon and oxygen, hydrogen comes from water, soil will give other 30 nutrients to plants, okay? But from these, some are needed in larger quantities and are therefore called macronutrients, very important. Other nutrients which are used by plants in small quantities, they are called micronutrients, right? So here is a very good table. Nutrients supplied by air, water and soil we are classifying. So air will give carbon, oxygen, water gives hydrogen, oxygen. Soil will give macronutrients which are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. Micronutrients कौन से हैं? Iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, chlorine. So deficiency of these nutrients, it affects the physiological processes in plants, which includes reproduction, growth, and susceptibility to diseases. So to increase the yield, soil can be enriched by supplying these nutrients in the form of manure and fertilizers. तो जो आप अलग से fertilizers या manure देते हो, उसमें ये nutrients की इसमें जो deficiency होती है वो complete हो जाती है. Let's see the questions. What are macronutrients and why are they called macronutrients? We have seen. आप example भी दे सकते हो. ये ज़्यादा quantity में चाहिए होते हैं plants से. Okay. And how do plants get nutrients? All these things you can explain. Right. Next we discuss about manure. Okay. Manure contains large quantities of organic matter and also supplies small quantities of nutrients to the soil. Okay. Manure is prepared by the decomposition of animal excreta and plant waste. Okay. It helps in enriching the soil with nutrients and organic matter. It increases the soil fertility. ठीक है, fertility increase करती है. The bulk of organic matter in manure, it helps in improving the soil structure. Okay. This involves increasing the water holding capacity of sandy soils. ठीक है. Clay soils may large quantities of organic matter help in drainage and in avoiding any waterlogging, right? So in using manure, we use biological waste material, which is advantageous in protecting our environment from excessive use of fertilizers. See, fertilizers तो chemicals होते हैं. Manure जो होता है वो natural होता है, so it is better to use manure wherever possible. Using biological waste material is also a way of recycling the farm waste. So based on the kind of biological material used, manure can be of two types. ठीक है, एक है हमारा compost and vermi compost और एक है हमारा green manure. तो one by one इन्हें discuss करते हैं. Compost and vermicompost is the process in which farm waste material like livestock excreta जैसे cow dung है, vegetable waste, animal refuse, domestic waste, sewage waste, straw, eradicated weeds, etc. These are decomposed in bits which are called composting. ठीक है, इसको हम composting method बोलते हैं. Compost is rich in organic matter and nutrients. ठीक है. Compost is also prepared by using earthworms. ठीक है, to hasten the process of decomposition of plant and animal refuse. तो intentionally उसमें earthworms introduce कर देते हैं जिससे process speed up हो जाता है और इसको बोलते हैं हम vermi compost. Okay. Now green manure. Prior to sowing the crop seeds, some plants like sun hemp or guar, they are grown and then mulched by plowing them into the soil. So these green plants thus turn into green manure. So this helps in enriching the soil. फिर soil rich हो जाती है किसमें? Nitrogen में और phosphorus में, right? Next we come on to the topic of fertilizers. See, fertilizers are commercially produced plant nutrients. They supply nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. ठीक है? They are used to ensure good vegetative growth like leaves, branches and flowers, giving rise to healthy plants. Fertilizers are a factor in the higher yields of high costing farming. Okay. They should be applied carefully, like proper dose honi chahiye, time and observing pre and post application precautions for their complete utilization. Like sometimes fertilizers get washed away due to excessive irrigation and are not fully absorbed by the plants. So this excess fertilizer will lead to water pollution. Also, as we have seen in the previous chapter, continuous use of fertilizers in an area, it can destroy the soil fertility because organic matter in the soil is not replenished, okay? And microorganisms in the soil are harmed by the fertilizers used. So short-term benefits of using fertilizers and long-term benefits of using manure for maintaining soil fertility have to be considered while aiming for optimum yields in crop production, right? Next comes a very important question. Compare the use of manure and fertilizers in maintaining soil fertility. So last two topics you can discuss, right? Next comes organic farming. आजकल ये term बहुत ज़्यादा चल रहा है market में. Everywhere you see there are organic products available. कहीं भी अगर आप let's say online shopping कर रहे हो, suppose you have tomatoes, तो एक tomatoes आएंगे, this is the price. साथ में ही एक organic tomatoes होते हैं, उनका अलग price होता है, right? So let's study organic farming. It is a farming system with minimal or no use of chemicals as fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, etc. And with a maximum input of organic manures, recycled farm wastes like straw and livestock excreta, use of bioagents like culture of blue-green algae and preparation of biofertilizers, नीम लीव्स यूज करते हैं, टर्मरिक हल्दी यूज करते हैं, specifically in grain storage as biopesticides with healthy cropping systems like mixed cropping, intercropping, crop rotation, as we have discussed, right? So these cropping systems are beneficial in insect, pest and weed control besides providing nutrients. Okay, so this is the concept of organic farming. Next, let us come to the topic of irrigation. See, most agriculture in India is rain-fed. So success of crops in most areas is dependent on timely monsoons and sufficient rainfall spread through most of the growing season. जैसे कई बार रेन्स अगर डिले हो जाती है तो इट्स अ मेजर कॉज ऑफ कंसर्न फॉर फार्मर्स क्योंकि रेन्स पे वो डिपेंडेंट है इरिगेट करने के लिए, ठीक है? So poor monsoons they can cause crop failure. Ensuring that the crops get water at the right stages during their growing season can increase the expected yields of any crop, right? So many measures are used to bring more and more agricultural land under irrigation, right? So here's some extra information. Droughts occur because of scarcity or irregular distribution of rain. ड्रोट का मतलब है रेन नहीं हुई तो एक सूखा हो जाता है, उसे हम ड्रोट बोलते हैं. So it possesses a threat to rain-fed farming areas where farmers do not use irrigation for crop production and they depend only on rain. So light soils, they have less water retention capacity. So in areas with light soils, crops get adversely affected by drought conditions. So scientists have developed some crop varieties which can tolerate these drought conditions. So they can give a production even when there is a drought, right? Okay. Next we have India has a wide variety of water resources and a highly varied climate. Okay. Under such conditions, several different kinds of irrigation systems are adopted to supply water to agricultural lands depending on the kind of water resources available. ठीक है, काफी resources होते हैं जैसे wells हो सकते हैं, canals, rivers, tanks, ठीक है? तो one by one देखते हैं. जैसे wells है suppose. Okay, there are two types of wells. एक होते हैं dug wells, एक होते हैं tube wells. So dug well में water is collected from water bearing strata and tube wells can tap water from the deeper strata. Like from these wells, water is lifted by pumps for irrigation. Okay. Next हो गया canals. ठीक है, this is usually an elaborate and extensive irrigation system. So canals receive water from one or more reservoirs or from rivers. Main canal is divided into branch canals having further distributaries to irrigate the fields. Next है river lift system. So in areas where canal flow is insufficient or irregular due to inadequate reservoir release, lift system is more rational. So water is directly drawn from the rivers for supplementing irrigation in areas which are close to the rivers, right? Last is the tanks. So these are small storage reservoirs which intercept and store the runoff of small catchment areas. Now, fresh initiatives for increasing the water available for agriculture include rainwater harvesting, watershed management. Okay, so this involves building small check dams, which can lead to increase in groundwater levels. And the check dams stop the rainwater from flowing away and also reduce soil erosion. Right. Next comes the cropping patterns. Different ways of growing crops can be used to give maximum benefit. Mixed cropping क्या होता है? It's growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land, like wheat plus gram. ठीक है? Wheat plus mustard, groundnut plus sunflower. ये कुछ combinations हैं. So this reduces the risk and gives some insurance against failure of one of the crops. कि अगर एक crop fail हो गया, दूसरा grow कर रहा है, तो फिर उससे हम अपना revenue generate कर सकते हैं, right? So let's study about intercropping. Intercropping is basically growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same field in a definite pattern, right? So see, a few rows of one crop alternate with a few rows of a second crop, okay? Like आप इसमें combinations ले सकते हो जैसे soybean plus maize, finger millet like bajra plus cowpea that is lobia. So the crops are selected such that their nutrition different like the requirements of nutrition they are different. Okay. So this will ensure maximum utilization of the nutrients supplied and it will prevent pests and diseases from spreading to all the plants belonging to one crop in a field. So this way both the crops will get better returns. Okay. So आप देख सकते हो इसमें one type of crop, second type of crop, again same type of crop. Okay. This way we can do. Now, the growing of different crops on a piece of land in a pre-planned succession is called crop rotation. This is another concept. So, depending upon the duration, crop rotation is done for different crop combinations. Availability of moisture and irrigation facilities decide the choice of the crop to be cultivated after one harvest. Okay. If crop rotation is done properly, then two or three crops can be grown in a year with good harvests. Right. Next, we come on to the topic crop protection management. See, field crops are infested by a large number of weeds, okay, insect, pests, and diseases. So, if weeds and pests are not controlled at the appropriate time, then they can damage the crop so much that most of the crop is lost. Okay. So, weeds are unwanted plants in a cultivated field, जैसे xanthium होता है, gokru, Parthenium, Gajar Ghas, okay, Cyperneus rotundus, that is Motha, okay. So they compete for food, space, and light. And weeds take up nutrients and reduce the growth of the crop. So removal of weeds from cultivated fields during the early stages of crop growth is essential for a good harvest, right? So generally insect pests attack the plants in three ways. They cut the root, stem and leaf. Okay. They suck the cell sap from various parts of the plant and they can bore into the stem and fruits. So they thus affect the health of the crop and reduce the yield, right? So diseases in plants are caused by pathogens like bacteria, fungi, viruses. They can be transmitted or they can be present in the soil. Okay, it can be through soil, water or air. Weeds, insects, and diseases they can be controlled by various methods. Most common method is the use of pesticides, जिसमें हम herbicides, insecticides, fungicides use कर सकते हैं. So these chemicals are sprayed on crop plants or used for treating seeds and soil. But excessive use of these chemicals creates a problem because they can be poisonous to many plant and animal species and it means they cause environmental pollution also. Okay. Weed control methods also include mechanical removal. Preventive methods like proper seedbed preparation, timely sowing of crops, intercropping, crop rotation, they also help in weed control, right? And some other preventive measures against pests are the use of resistant varieties, okay? Summer plowing in which fields are plowed during like deep in summers to destroy weeds and pests, right? So these are some of the methods of crop protection management, right? Here's another question like which says which of the following conditions will give the most benefits and why? So we are given certain conditions. First is farmers use high quality seeds but do not adopt irrigation or use fertilizers. Second is farmers use ordinary seeds, adopt irrigation and use fertilizer. Third is farmers use quality seeds, adopt irrigation, use fertilizer and use crop protection methods. So obviously C is the correct option. ठीक है, C हमारा correct option क्यों होगा? Let's see. Because C, if you use high quality seeds, it will ensure better germination, disease resistance and higher yield. Okay. इरिगेशन आप अडॉप्ट कर रहे हो तो इट विल प्रोवाइड एडिक्वेट वाटर, तो जो ड्रॉट स्ट्रेस है वो अवॉइड हो जाएगा, कंटिन्यूस ग्रोथ होगी प्लांट्स की. ओके. Fertilizers will give like essential nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, which will lead to good production of crops. And crop protection measures, if you are using, it will prevent any losses because of pest, diseases, or weeds. So overall yield and quality will be improved. So these are all the benefits, right? So here we can see a table which gives the nutritional values of animal products. Okay. So these are the animal products and percentage nutrients like fat, protein, sugar, minerals, water, vitamins, all these we can see. Milk, which is cow milk. So cow milk has 3.6% fat. All these you can see. Vitamins are also there. Egg, meat, fish, all these you can go through, right? Now let's see about storage of grains. See, storage losses in agricultural produce, they can be very high. तो क्या क्या फैक्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल होते हैं इसमें? बायोटिक हो सकते हैं, ठीक है, जैसे इंसेक्ट्स, rodents, fungi, mites, bacteria. They can be abiotic like inappropriate moisture and temperatures in the place of storage. So these all things can cause a degradation in quality, loss in weight, poor germinability, discoloration of produce. So इनकी poor marketability हो जाएगी, right? So how we control these? We can have proper treatment and by a systematic management of warehouses we can do this. Okay. So preventive and control measures are used before grains are stored for future use. Okay. They include strict cleaning of the produce before storage, proper drying of the produce first in sunlight and then in shade, and fumigation using chemicals that can kill the pests. So these are all the methods. So here comes the question, why should preventive measures and biological control methods be preferred for protecting crops? All we have discussed, you can write the answer. What factors may be responsible for losses of grain during storage? So these are presented here. आप biotic और abiotic दोनों factors को mention कर दो, right? Next comes the topic animal husbandry. So animal husbandry is the scientific management of animal livestock. It includes various aspects like feeding, breeding, and disease control. Okay. Animal-based farming, it includes cattle, goat, sheep, poultry, and fish farming. As the population increases and as living standards increase, demand for milk, eggs, meat, it's also going up, right? Also, the growing awareness of the need for humane treatment of livestock has brought in new limitations in livestock farming. Okay? So livestock production also needs to be improved a lot. Now let us see particularly the cattle farming. Cattle husbandry is done for two purposes: milk and draught labor for agricultural work like tilling, irrigation, carting, etc. Indian cattle belong to two different species, okay? Bos indicus, cows, and Bos bubalis, that is buffaloes. Milk producing females are called milch animals, dairy animals, and the ones used for farm labor, they are called draught animals. Correct? ये दो categories हो गई. Now, milk production depends to some extent on the duration of the lactation period, meaning the period of milk production after the birth of a calf. So, milk production can be increased by increasing the lactation period. Okay. Exotic या foreign breeds होती हैं जैसे Jersey, Brown Swiss, they are selected for long lactation periods. And local breeds like Red Sindhi, Sahiwal, they show excellent resistance to diseases. Okay. So what we can do, we can crossbreed these two to get animals of both the desired qualities. Right. So here is an image showing indigenous milch breed of cattle. Right. Question asks which method is commonly used for improving cattle breed and why. So you can here talk about crossbreeding, right? Next is proper cleaning and shelter facilities for cows and buffaloes are required for humane farming, for health of the animals and for production of clean milk as well. Animals require regular brushing to remove dirt and loose hair. They should be sheltered under well ventilated roofed sheds that protect them from rain, heat, and cold. Floor of the cattle shed needs to be sloping so as to stay dry and to facilitate cleaning. Okay. Food requirements two types के होते हैं dairy animals के. One is maintenance requirement, which is the food required to support the animal to live a healthy life. And second is milk producing requirement, which is type of food which is required during lactation period. Okay. So animal feed includes roughage, जिसमें mainly fiber होगा, ठीक है. Second, concentrates. They are low in fiber and contain relatively high levels of proteins and other nutrients. Okay. So cattle need balanced ratios, okay, containing all the nutrients in appropriate amounts. Besides such nutritious food material, certain feed additives, okay, containing micronutrients promote the health and milk output of dairy animals. Then comes some diseases of cattle, okay. These diseases can decrease the milk production and can be very fatal for them. A healthy animal feeds regularly and has a normal posture. Parasites of the cattle can be external or internal. External parasites will live on the skin and mainly cause skin diseases. Internal parasites like worms, they will affect stomach and intestine, while flukes damage the liver. So infectious diseases are also caused by bacteria and viruses. So vaccinations are given to farm animals against any major viral or bacterial diseases, right? Next, we come on to poultry farming. So, poultry farming is undertaken to raise domestic fowl for egg production and chicken meat. So, improved poultry breeds are developed and farmed to produce layers of eggs and broilers for meat. Okay. Cross breeding programs between Indian है indigenous like a seal, and foreign exotic like leghorn breeds are like they breeds for variety improvement are focused on to develop new varieties with the desirable traits which can be like number and quality of chicks. Broiler parent for commercial chick production, summer adaptation capacity or tolerance to high temperature, low maintenance requirements, and reduction in the size of egg-laying bird with ability to utilize more fibrous, cheaper diets formulated using agricultural byproducts. Okay, so this particular image shows a seal and leghorn variants. Okay, another question we have discussed the implications of the following statement. It is interesting to note that poultry in India's most efficient converter of low fiber foodstuff which is unfit for human consumption into highly nutritious animal protein food. Yes. So you can write this in context of what we have studied here, like how we feed the cattle using this low fiber foodstuff, okay, and they convert it into uh, basically milk or milk products, okay, and other kinds of food items. Correct. Next, we come on to egg and broiler production. So, broiler chickens are fed with vitamin-rich supplementary feed for good growth rate and better feed efficiency. Care is taken to avoid mortality and to maintain feathering and carcass quality. They are produced as broilers and sent to market for meat purpose. ठीक है. So, अच्छी प्रोडक्शन के लिए हमें अच्छी मैनेजमेंट प्रैक्टिसेस चाहिए. ठीक है. प्रॉपर टेम्परेचर हमें मेंटेन करना है, हाइजीनिक कंडीशंस मेंटेन करनी है. ठीक है. And we have to prevent and control any kind of diseases or pests, right? Then housing, nutritional and environmental requirements of broilers are somewhat different from those of egg layers, right? The Russian daily food requirement for broilers is a protein rich with adequate fat. Okay? Level of vitamin A and K is kept high in poultry feeds. Okay. Poultry fowl suffer from a number of diseases which are caused by bacteria, virus, fungi, parasites. Okay. Some nutritional deficiencies may be there. So proper cleaning, sanitation and spraying of disinfectants is needed at regular intervals. And proper vaccination can also prevent the occurrence of infectious diseases and reduce loss of poultry due to an outbreak of disease. Right? Here we have two important questions like what management practices are common in dairy and poultry farming. So all these points you can mention, we have studied. And what are the differences between broilers and layers and in their management? So from here you can mention these points. Correct? Next we come on to another aspect, that is fish production. So fish, you know, it is a cheap source of animal protein in our food. Okay. It includes like finned true fish as well as shellfish like prawns and mollusks. And there are two ways to obtain them. One is natural resources through capture fishing. Other is by fish farming, that is culture fishery. So water source of fish, it can be seawater or fresh water like rivers or ponds. Fishing can be done by capture or culture, okay, in marine and fresh ecosystems. So first let's talk about marine fisheries. See, India's marine fishery resources include 7,500 kilometer of coastline, right? It's a big one. And the deep seas beyond it. So popular marine fish varieties include like pomfret, mackerel, tuna, sardines, and Bombay duck. Marine fish is caught using many kinds of fishing nets from fishing boats. Yields are increased by locating large schools of fish in the open sea using satellites and eco sounders. So you have technology these days. Then some marine fish of high economic value, they are also found in seawater. So these include finned fishes like mullets, bhetki, and pearl spot shellfish like prawns, mussels, oysters, as well as seaweed. Oysters are also cultivated for pearls that they make, right? So here you can see the images, freshwater and marine prawns, right? So as marine fish stocks get further depleted, the demand for more fish can be met only by culture fisheries, which is a practice referred to as mariculture. Correct? Next, we come on to inland fisheries. See, freshwater resources they include canals, ponds, reservoirs, and rivers. Brackish water resources, whereas seawater and freshwater mix together, like estuaries and lagoons, they are also important fish reservoirs. So while capturing fish, like capture fishing, जब हम करते हैं, it is also done in such inland water bodies. But the yield will not be too high. Okay. Most fish production from these resources is by aquaculture. Now, fish culture is sometimes done in combination with a rice crop also, so that fish are grown in water in the paddy field. More intensive fish farming can be done in composite fish culture systems. Okay. Both local and imported fish species are used in such systems. So what you do in such a system, a combination of five or six fish species is used in a single fish pond. These species are selected so they do not compete for food among them, having different types of food habits. So the food available in all parts of the pond is used. Okay. As cattlers are surface feeders, rowers feed in the middle zone of the pond, and wriggles and common carps are bottom feeders, and grass carps feed on the weeds. Together, these species can use all the food in the pond without competing with each other. So this will increase the fish yield from the pond. So this is the combination shown here, right? But one problem with such composite fish culture is that many of these fish breed only during monsoon. So even if fish seed is collected from the wild, it can be mixed with that of other species as well. So a major problem in fish farming is the lack of availability of good quality seed. To overcome this problem, ways have now been worked out to breed these fish in ponds using hormonal stimulation, and this has ensured the supply of pure fish seed in the desired quantities. Right? So, questions: how are fish obtained? You can write very easily. What are the advantages of composite fish culture? Very simple. Next is beekeeping. See, honey. Honey is widely used, and therefore beekeeping for making honey has become a agricultural enterprise. Okay. See, beekeeping में investment बहुत कम है, so farmers can use it as an additional income generating activity. In addition to honey, beehives are a source of wax also, which can be used for medicine preparation. Okay. Local varieties of bees they are used for commercial honey production. Okay. कौन सी होती है ये varieties? Apis carana indica, which is commonly called Indian bee. Okay. A dorsata, the rock bee. A flore, the little bee. Okay. Italian bee variety A mellifera. It has also been brought to increase yield of honey. This is the variety commonly used for commercial honey production. Okay, you can see the arrangement of beehive in an apiary, okay, and honey extract. And the Italian bees, they have high honey collection capacity. They sting somewhat less. They stay in a given beehive for long periods and breed very well. Commercial honey production के लिए bee farms or apiaries established होते हैं, something like this. Value or quality of honey, it depends upon the pasturage or the flowers available to the bees for nectar and pollen collection. In addition to adequate quantity of pasturage, the kind of flowers available will determine taste of honey. Okay. So questions are, what are the desirable characteristics of bee varieties suitable for honey production? You can answer easily from here. What is pasturage and how it is related to honey production? You can answer from here, right? So here we see a summary of the chapter, complete points. So what does it say? There are several nutrients essential for crops. Of these, some are required in large quantities and are called macronutrients. Others are needed in small quantities. They are micronutrients. Then manure and fertilizers, they are main sources of nutrient supply to crops. Then something about organic farming, mixed cropping, intercropping, all these you have to study, crop rotation, okay. Then how to improve the variety, okay. Animal husbandry, poultry farming, right. Crossbreeding, inland resources for like fishes, right. Then marine and inland ecosystems, marine fish capturing, composite fish culture, beekeeping. So all these points we covered in this chapter. You can go through this summary for a quick revision, right? So here we come on to the exercises. One by one we'll see the answers for all the questions. First one is, explain any one method of crop production which ensures high yield. Okay. So one effective method of crop production that will ensure high yield is hybridization. ठीक है? Hybridization में हम क्या करते हैं? It involves cross breeding two different varieties of a crop to produce a hybrid, okay, with superior properties or traits, okay, like higher yield, disease resistance, better adaptability to environmental conditions, okay. तो हम hybridization use कर सकते हैं, right? Second question is, why are manure and fertilizers used in fields? क्या purpose होता है इनका? तो ये इसलिए यूज करते हैं because they enhance the soil fertility, they supply essential nutrients which are required for plant growth. Okay, they improve the soil structure, increase crop yield, and help replenish the nutrients which are lost due to continuous farming. ठीक है, इसलिए ये essential होते हैं. Third question is, what is the advantage of intercropping and crop rotation? Okay, see intercropping से क्या होता है? It prevents soil depletion, ठीक है, reduces pest infestations, maximizes land use by growing different crops together. Okay, और crop rotation से क्या benefit होता है? It improves the soil fertility, reduces soil erosion, and it also minimizes the chances of crop-specific diseases and pests, right? Fourth question is, what is genetic manipulation and how is it useful in agricultural practices? So genetic manipulation is the process of altering the DNA of crops to introduce desirable traits. Okay, it helps in producing crops with higher yield, pest and drought resistance, and improved nutritional value. So this will enhance the agricultural productivity. इसलिए ये useful होता है, right? Fifth question is, how do storage grain losses occur? So they occur due to factors like pests, अगर pests आ जाए like insects, rodents, ठीक है, fungal infections, moisture leading to spoilage, and poor storage conditions. These can result in reduced quality and quantity of grains. Okay, इसकी वजह से loss हो सकता है, right? Next, we see the question number 6. What does it say? How do good animal husbandry practices benefit farmers? Okay, so they will benefit the farmers because they ensure better livestock health, higher milk and meat production, improved reproduction rates, and overall economic benefits for the farmers by reducing any disease breakouts and increasing the productivity, right? Seventh question is, what are the benefits of cattle farming? तो इसके काफी benefits होते हैं like milk production, meat supply, drought power for agricultural activities, and manure production. So this will enhance the soil fertility also, right? Eighth question is, for increasing production, what is common in poultry, fisheries, and beekeeping? So all the three, they require scientific breeding, okay, proper nutrition, disease management, and controlled environments for enhancing the yield and maintaining the quality, right? Last question is, how do you differentiate between capture fishing, mariculture, and aquaculture? See, capture fishing may it involves catching the fish from natural water bodies like lakes, rivers, seas. Okay. Mariculture is the cultivation of marine organisms like fish and shellfish in seawater environments. And aquaculture is like the controlled farming of aquatic organisms, including freshwater and marine species, in artificial or natural environments. That is aquaculture. Okay. सो दिस completes द चैप्टर. बहुत ही सिंपल सा चैप्टर है, स्कोरिंग है. इस वीडियो को अगर आप बार बार देखोगे यू विल लर्न ऑल द कंसेप्ट्स एंड यू कैन नॉट लाइक लूज एनी मार्क्स इन दिस चैप्टर, right? So if you have not subscribed the channel yet, subscribe the channel, learn with Nisha ji. Stay tuned and thanks for watching the video.